Okay, as promised, here is the answer. I did it by hand using the Z table. I found this Z value is negative 1.35. I found that area and it was 0.0885. Then I found this area for the number that's on the left is 2.165. I subtract those two and I got that 0.0773. I also did it on StatCrunch and 0.0773. So not too bad if you look it up, if you use StatCrunch to do it. So the rest of the paper is about having information that is not on your standard curve. So the information that's not on your standard curve, if you basically what you're going to be doing is saying, okay, well, I know what to do if it's on my standard curve, but what do I do if it's not on my standard curve? Well, you put your x-axis right underneath your z-axis. And on your x-axis right here, what you're going to have is you're going to have to put your mean. And it says work an average of 22 hours a week. So you're going to put your mean right there. That's your average. And the standard deviation is 9. So you know how to handle the standard deviation. If the mean is 22 and the standard deviation is 9, then this number right here is going to be 22 plus 9. That's 31. And then this number right here is going to be 31 plus 9. That's 40. This number right here is going to be 49. So you're finding your standard deviations from your mean. 22 minus 9 is 13, negative 2 minus 9 is 4, and 4 minus 9 is negative 5. So these are the numbers that are on your x-axis. It's going to say a college student has a job selected at college student with a job is selected at random. Find the probability that that college student works less than 4 hours a week. So here's what we're finding. We're finding that the x value is less than 4 hours a week. So since we don't have, this is what they want right here. So basically it's this. They want this shaded area right here. Okay. You can't go look up 4 on the Z table because that's an X value, not a Z value. So if you're going to use the table, you have to use this formula, which you learned in Chapter 2, X minus mu divided by the standard deviation. You have to use this formula to find out what Z value you do need to go look up. So the probability that X is less than or equal to 4 is the same thing as finding the probability of Z being less than. So you're finding the Z value that corresponds with 4. I can see right now it's going to be negative 2, but I can also calculate it by saying 4 minus 22, because the X value is 4, that's what was given, minus the mu divided by the standard deviation. Actually, it's going to be negative 2. So 22, that's going to be negative 18, divided by 9, that's going to be negative 2. So the Z value comes out to be negative 2. You should see it on the graph, and then there's the algebra that supports it. So now if I'm going to use the table, I just run over here to the table, and I'm going to look up where, let me erase all this. I'm going to look up where I'm supposed to be using the negative one. I'm going to look up and see what the area is for less than negative 2. So negative 2 is right there, and it's exactly negative 2, so it's the 0, 0. So the probability that I pick a college student that works less than 4 hours is 0.0228. So 0.0228. So that's 0.0228. All right, so this area right here is 0.0228. Now, if they had said greater than 4, I would have had to have gone this way. But now I can also do this on StatCrunch, and the only thing that's going to be different on StatCrunch this time is that, I mean, you need to go back to standard, of course. You can use the z-value that we got. We said -2. Uh-oh, I did to the right. It's to the left. And there's 0.0228. But the cool thing about this is you don't even have to use your z-score. You can type in your mean, which they told us was 22, and you can type in your standard deviation, which is 9, and then you can just go ahead and use the x value that they gave you. Now that really is x is less than or equal to 4. The mean is 22, the standard deviation is 9, and then they show you what it looks like, and it's still the same area, 0.022. Now, the thing that I don't like about this is they don't have the 22. I mean, they do. 22 is, on your number line is right there, but I would rather them number the 22 and then put my 3 standard deviations, but they don't. This x-axis doesn't look like my x-axis is what I'm saying. Here's my x-axis. I wish they would have put those numbers on there, but they didn't. I think you can change it. It's probably not that important that you go back and change it. I don't know, maybe you can't. Options. Yeah, I don't see. Oh, there it is. You can click right there, and now it puts them on there. So there you go. Click that button, and now you get the right marks. Okay, so that's pretty easy, right? Let's go back to the other question. This one says the average speed of vehicles traveling on a stretch of highway is 67 miles. So that's your mean. Your mean is 67. So on your x-axis right underneath here, this is going to be 67. With your standard deviation is 3.5. And so you fill this out. I'm about to go to StatCrunch, and they're going to fill it out for me. The standard deviation is 3.5, and they want a vehicle. So let's just go there and see. So a mean 67. Was it 3.5? Standard deviation of 3.5. And let's see. Okay. I got to put in a probability. What are they going to ask for? Greater than 70. Greater than 70. So there's my tick marks, 67, 70.5, 74, and 77. So those marks should be what you write down here. So this would be 70.5, and this should be 74. And this one would be 77.5. All I did was add 3.5 to each one of these, plus 3.5 plus 3.5. And this is 63.5. This is 60. And this is 56.5. Okay, so those are, and then they said 70. 70 is not exactly on one of those. So if you're it's gonna be right here before you get to 1, obviously. Okay, now if you use the z-table and you look it up, well, you'll need a z-score. So the z-score is 70 minus 67 divided by 3.5. That comes out to be 0.86. I told you it was a little bit before 1. So if you look up 0.86 on the z-table, it's going to give you this area, and this says what's the probability that they're violating the speed limit. If you're violating the speed limit of 70, what are you doing? Are you going faster than 70 or slower than 70? If you're violating the speed limit. Violating the speed limit means that they're asking who's going greater than 70, and that's going to be the same answer as who's greater than 0.86 on the z-axis, 0.86. So you want this. You want the area to the right. If you use the table, the z-table, you're going to look up 0.86. Over here on the z-table, you're going to look up, this is a positive one, so you're going to look up 0.86. 0.86 is right here. There's 0.8. There's 6. 0.86 is 0.8051. Remember what that is. 8051. 8051. That's this area over here. This is 8051. I don't want to know that. I want to know this. So how do I find the area to the right? 1 minus the area to the left. 8051. And that comes out to be 0.1957. 1 minus that right there is 0.1957. And of course we can go to StatCrunch and we say greater than 1957. There it is. Okay, I think that's it. Let me double check and see if there was anything else. Oh, there's a couple of more examples. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and stop this video and then I will pop those other examples up, and on the last video I'll just show you the answers that I got. Okay, or actually let me see, maybe I have it. Let's see, let's just go over here. So pause the video. I'm not going to make a new video. You just pause this video and go do those last, I think there's 3 problems on there for you to do. And then come back and look at the answers. Go. All right, so here's the answer to this first one, between 22 and 52 minutes. So that's between 22 and 52. I found 2 z-scores. Here's the x-axis. This is the area between that I'm finding. I looked up the z-score on the right. I looked up the z-score on the left, and then I subtracted them. Or you can, of course, go to StatCrunch and put in the information. The mean is 43 and the standard deviation is 12. The mean is 43. The standard deviation is 12. And they want to know between, and I was between 22 and 52. And they gave me 0.733. Okay. The second one said more than 37 minutes. So more than 37 minutes mean I went to the right. And the way you look it up, you find the z-score. 37 minus 43. 37 is the x value. 43 is the is the mean. 12 is standard deviation. That calculates to be a z-score of negative 0.5. Look up negative 0.5. When you look up negative 0.5, that's the area to the left. So this area over here is 0.3085. Subtract that from 1 because you want the area to the right, and you get 0.6915. You can check your work on StatCrunch, and then this last one right here, you read the problem. The average triglyceride level is 97. Normally distributed, they're telling you it's normally distributed. The standard deviation is 25, and they want to know what's the probability that a person's triglyceride level is less than 100. So the probability that X is less than 100. Remember, the probability that X is less than 100 is the same thing as finding the probability that Z is less than 0.12. The z-score that we find will give you the same area as this x-score. And since they wanted the area to the left, there's no subtraction or anything to do. You just simply find the z-score of 0.12 on the table, and whatever it says is the answer. Be sure you understand this. Be sure you understand this. That if you can't do this, you are going to struggle severely for the rest of the class period. Please get with me. I don't mind. I'll find some time. I will give you some extra problems to work. I will meet you, have a tutorial. I will create an extra video. Be sure you know how to find the area for z-scores and the probability for z-scores, the area for a given x-score, and the probability for a given x-score. Be sure you know how to do that. It is huge important.